Hi everybody, welcome to the Wee Garden Homestead. Claudia here, and I have another quilt reveal. I'm just noticing I didn't quite get all the little strings from the quilting off yet, but I will. So this one was a long time in the making. This is number 7, but this one actually started 2 years ago when I was working on a Christmas quilt for Jocelyn and Jilly, and I needed to make some pinwheels, and I wasn't sure what size I needed to cut the squares to make the pinwheels. Got a little lint on there. So these pinwheels were my experiments. I started with these flowers in the yellow, and I just threw in some other greens and some more yellow, and I had just a few of them left, and I'll touch on that in the video. But I had a few of them left, and I decided I was going to make a quilt out of that this year. And so I made some more, and I got them all together just haphazardly, and it sat for a little while because I didn't have anything for the backing, and it was a little too small. And then I found this green and yellow at Joann's, and I thought that went really well. So I added a little bit on the sides because it was too narrow, and I used the same fabric for the binding. So I'm going to get this up on the wall. I'm going to get some pictures, and I'm going to get out and do a quilt drop. It's a nice day out today for it, and that's number 7. Number 7 for 25 and 25. I know it's the end of May, but actually by the time you see this, it's going to be the beginning of June. But I've got several that I've finished up this week. I had a bunch of tops that I had put together I hadn't posted about yet, and I got them finished up this week, and I'm pretty excited because by the end of June, I'm going to be caught up. So I'm going to go ahead and get pictures up there. And don't forget, folks, like, subscribe, leave me a comment. What have you been up to in the month of May? How many quilts have you done this year? Have you done any quilts this year? Do you do other things? Do you sew other things? You know, I'm always interested in what you're up to. So leave me a comment, and don't forget to share with your friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Okay, so here's what I have to work with. This is silly, but I have these 3 pinwheels. This one is, this is about 10 inches, and this one is about 10 inches, and this one is about 9. So I did these as an experiment to figure out what size I needed to cut squares for to do pinwheels for another quilt. So I have these left over, and they're so pretty, and I love this yellow and green combo. So what I'm going to do is I went and pulled all my green and yellow from my stash and my scraps, and I'm going to make a whole bunch more pinwheels. Now, some of them are going to be smaller. Some of them are going to be maybe a couple more this size, maybe some more this size, some smaller ones. And then to get them all to match into a big square so that I can put them all together, I have a whole bunch of white scraps, white on white scraps from other projects that I will cut to make them the same size. So like if I was going to put these 2 together, I might put a strip of white here, a narrow strip of white right here, and then, you know, go on like that. So not that I would put these 2 right next to each other, but you get what I'm saying. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to get to cutting some squares. I've got this yellow. I've got this yellow. And I've got this yellow. So for yellows, I'm in pretty good shape. I've only got 3, but they're big pieces. And then for the green, oh, and I've got these 2 little scraps of yellow. So I'll give them a press. I think I might I'll do different kinds of pinwheels. And then for the greens, I've got a lot of greens, but not very many in yardage. So that's a pretty big piece, and I'm not sure I'm going to use that one because it's not really as bright as the others. I got a dog pushing past me. But then I've got this, and this, and this, and these. And these are bigger pieces. But those first couple were really small. So what I'll probably do is do it, you know, when you cut the big square, and then you sew all the way around. So I would have 2 big squares, and I would sew all the way around, and then I would cut it this way and they would open up and I would twist them and they would make pinwheels. But for these small ones, these and this, I think what I'll probably do is I'll cut the squares this way and I'll just sew 2 lines across the middle and open them up, and I'll do 2 sets of those. If you're confused, so am I. First thing I'm going to do is go see what the dogs are barking at, and then I am going to press the scraps and start cutting with the small green ones to see what I can get out of those, and then I'll go from there. Okay, so the small scraps I have are these yellows. So they are 3.5 wide. So I'm going to do 3.5 inch squares. I've got 2. I'm going to have 4 of those. So that'll get me 2 pinwheels. That's a scrap. And I have these greens. I need these to be 3.5 by 3.5. And if that's 3.5 left, then I can use it. If it's not, I'll pass. I don't want to go much smaller than this. Oh, look at that. Perfect. Oh, I cut it wrong. Okay, so that's not going to work. All right, let's see what we got here. I want to go with on these smaller ones, I want to go with the biggest I can. So, let's see. 4.5 by 4.5. All right, and then these 2. I have to square those off a little bit. Hmm, 6 by 6. All right, I'm going to go keep on with this, and I'll be back after I've got some sewn. It's a little hard to see, but the ones that were under 5 inches, I drew a corner line, and then I stitched 1/4 of an inch on either side. You can barely see it. And then I'll cut along that line I drew, and when I flip them open, they'll be like this. And I'll press them towards the dark side. And I've got them in pairs. So I've got 2, so that'll make a pinwheel. And I've got 2 here, and that'll make a pinwheel. Anything that was under 5 inches. The 5-inch ones I did this way. I stitched all the way around the edge. All the way around the edge. All 4 sides. And then when I cut, I'll cut in the diagonal like this. And then they'll flip open the same way. So I'm going to get to cutting and pressing, and we'll be back to see what the layout comes out like. All right, so I didn't have any video of me piecing this together, but there are the blocks with the white in between, and this was as I was laying them out on the bed to see how they were going to fit together. Okay, so this scrap quilt that I was working on with the pinwheels is finished. I measured it, and it's long enough for where I want to donate it, but it's not quite wide enough. I need to add about 5 inches on total. So I picked this up that I was at my Joann's haul that I was going to use for the backing, but I think I'm going to also use it for the sides. So I'm going to cut 3-inch strips from this. Let me see. It's 48 long, so I'll need 3-inch strips to go down each side. So I'm just gonna square that off, and then I will going to square that off, and then I'll cut 3-inch strips. I'll sew them together end to end, and then I'll put them on the quilt. And then I'm hoping I'll have enough of this for the binding also, for the back and the binding. But I won't know that until I stop and do some math. And I'm not going to stop and do that math right now because I'm going to do this. I'm going to the sewing machine. I'm going to sew this on. Okay, so I have these 2 borders on. Now I'll have to be trimming that, but I'll trim that after I quilt it. And now I measured about 41.5, which is perfect. I can use 1 width of fabric for the backing. Ooh, some dust on there. And yeah, oh gosh, lots of dust. I put that in the wash before I put it in the mail. Now I just have to Frankenstein some batting. I have batting left on my big roll, but I've got so many of these little scraps that I'm going to see what I can put together for this. So this is a big piece. Oh, that's a really big piece. Ooh, that might be big enough on its own. That looks like one I cut off of another quilt. Oh, I bet that's big enough. Let's give it a measure. Almost. So close, so close. Let's see what we got here. It's definitely long enough. Let's see if it's wide enough. Oh, it needs just a couple inches. Just a couple inches. All right, let me see if I can find one other piece to put down the side. I always use the same kind of batting, so that's a pretty wide piece. They look a little different. I got one batch that I ordered that felt a little different. I don't know that it was different. That's a pretty wide piece. Maybe I just put these, I don't like those 2 together. Maybe we'll put these 2 together. And this is the trimmings from a piece I already put together. That would probably work perfectly well. I'll use that. I'll use that and this big piece. We'll put those together, and that'll be my batting. And then I'm gonna go make a sandwich. Okay, so here it is, all spray basted. Not sure how I'm gonna quilt it yet, but I'm gonna roll it up, put it aside. I've got a pink ladybug one that's going to the same place as this one. Oh, I got some wrinkles there. Let's see if I can get those out. I think once it's quilted and washed, it won't show anyway. I've got a pink ladybug one that I'm gonna send to the same place. So while I've got my spot on the bed laid out and ready to go, I'm gonna spray base that one too.